This is not an imaginary story. This is a real story that happened in the late 1890s in the United States of America. This is the story of a poor German sign painter who became the most presumptuous counterfeiter in American history. A man whose extraordinary talent could have made him famous and wealthy, but whose choices led him down a path of crime, regret, and ultimately a painful awakening. In a small village in Germany, there lived a poor but remarkably talented painter. He had a gift that few possessed. His hands could bring life to any canvas, his brushstrokes so precise that his paintings seemed to breathe. Yet, despite his talent, fortune never smiled on him. He lived with his wife and 4 children in a small home, struggling to put food on the table. Dreaming of a better life, he took his family and sailed across the Atlantic Ocean to the United States of America. He believed that the land of opportunity would finally reward his skills. He took up work as a sign painter, creating beautiful signs for shops and businesses. But even in this new country, life remained difficult. No matter how hard he worked, his earnings were never enough to fulfill the needs of his family. One evening, as he sat at his small wooden table, exhausted and defeated, an idea crept into his mind. He stared at a $10 note in his hand and thought, "What if I could paint one of these?" The idea was dangerous, but desperation clouded his judgment. He examined the note carefully, the paper, the size, the color, the portrait, every single line and curve. Then he took a blank piece of paper of the same size, dipped it in coffee water to match the exact shade of real currency, and began to draw. For an entire week, he worked tirelessly, replicating every minute detail by hand: the portrait of Washington, the intricate patterns, the delicate lines. When he finished, he held the note up to the light. It was perfect. His hand-painted replica was so flawless that no one could tell the difference between it and real currency. With trembling hands, he took his counterfeit note to a nearby market. He bought bread, butter, vegetables, fruits, and wine. The shopkeeper accepted the note without hesitation and handed him real money as change. His heart raced. It had worked. This small success made him greedy. He began painting more notes: $10, $20, $50, and even $100. He used these painted bills to buy better food, fine clothes, expensive household items, and eventually a beautiful house. His neighbors began to wonder how a simple sign painter had become so wealthy. When they asked, he would smile and say, "I was once a soldier in Spain. I receive a pension from the Spanish government." Years passed, and his wealth grew, but fate, as it always does, caught up with him. One ordinary day, he visited a vegetable shop, run by a kind woman who knew him well. He purchased some vegetables and handed her a $20 note. She accepted it with a smile and gave him the change. That evening, as she was counting her cash, she noticed something strange. The colors on that specific note had smudged and spread. She knew that real currency ink does not smudge. The note must be fake. She reported the matter to the police, describing the man who had visited her shop. When the police raided his home, they found paints, brushes, half-finished notes, and all the supplies of a counterfeiter. He was arrested, put on trial, and sentenced to 6 years in prison. In jail, the man felt his world collapse around him. To occupy his troubled mind, he asked the prison officials for canvas and paint. They agreed, and he spent his years behind bars doing what he loved most: painting. He created beautiful landscapes, portraits, and scenes that captured the imagination of all who saw them. When his sentence ended and he was finally released, a prison official handed him an envelope. Inside was $46,000. The man stared at the money in disbelief. "Where did this come from?" he asked. The officer smiled and said, "You don't know? We sold your paintings. They became very famous outside these walls. Each one sold for $5,000. Hearing this, the man broke down and wept. Tears streamed down his face as the bitter irony of his life struck him like a thunderbolt. "I spent an entire week slaving away to forge a $20 note," he cried, "when I could have painted a masterpiece worth $5,000 in the same time." He fell to his knees and whispered through his sobs, "I am the thief of my own life." The man we are talking about in this story is no other than Emanuel Ninger, known to history as Jim the Pen Man, one of the most presumptuous counterfeiters in American history. His story is not just about crime and punishment. It is a mirror that reflects a truth we all must face. Emanuel Ninger had the talent to become one of the greatest artists of his time. Instead, he wasted his precious years, his extraordinary skills, and his valuable life on forgery. He thought he was taking a shortcut to success, but in reality, he took the longest and hardest road possible. He worked incredibly hard to remain poor and become a criminal, when the same effort applied honestly would have made him wealthy, respected, and free. Here are the life-changing lessons we can learn from Ninger's life. 1. Life is precious. Do not waste it doing meaningless things. We often spend our time, energy, and resources chasing lesser goals when the same effort could lead us to greatness. We become the thieves of our own lives, robbing ourselves of opportunities that were always within our reach. 2. The real value of time. Ninger traded weeks of his life for $20 when his time was actually worth $5,000. We often do the same. We waste hours on mindless entertainment, gossip, or negative thinking, activities that yield pennies when we could invest that time in learning, creating, or building something that yields thousands in happiness and success. 3. The illusion of shortcuts. We often think that cutting corners or choosing the unethical path is the easy way, but as Ninger found out, the easy way is often the hardest way in the long run. Integrity might seem slower at first, but it is the only path that compounds into lasting success. 4. Misdirected talent is a tragedy. Ninger worked hard, he was disciplined, he was talented, but he applied these virtues in the wrong direction. Hard work alone is not enough. It must be right work. Ask yourself, are you using your skills to build a future, or are you just painting fake money, doing things that look productive but have no real value? 5. We are the cause of our fortune. Ninger blamed poverty for his crime, but his wealth was inside him the whole time. He just needed to trust his own legitimate value. We often rob ourselves of opportunities because we don't believe our honest efforts will pay off. Remember, there are only two paths in life. Work hard now and be happy forever, or be happy now and struggle forever. The choice is yours. Do not let shortcuts steal your destiny. If this story opened your eyes to your own potential, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Share this with someone who is wasting his life despite having great talent. Thanks for watching this video. The man who wastes his talent on foolish pursuits does not cheat the world. He cheats himself.